So I should be back now. I'm hoping that I'm back. I'm so sorry about the problems with the connection earlier. I hope you guys can see me and hear me. If you're on Facebook, if you're on the African History Network page, let me know if you can see me and you can hear me. If you're on the Dr. Boyce Watkins page, please let me know as well. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit refresh and see if I can see you on my screen so I can respond to your questions and comments and all that good stuff. Let's see, I'm looking here and I don't see the African History Network, so let me make sure my connection's good. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. It usually takes half a second to get everything going. Okay. It looks like I'm on the page, at least on the African History Network page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up on Periscope as well. And let me see. Give me 1 second here. All right. Tell me if you can hear me. You can see me. If you can. Yes. All right. Good audio and good video. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Thank you, Shanika and Brother Jermaine and Corey Robinson and Shannon Hayward. I can't tell you. I can't put into words how much I love and appreciate you. I'm sitting here tonight. I'm sitting up late, and I decided to just go live later than usual because I wanted to share some thoughts that were on my mind today. I went and saw a really deep movie. It was called The Arrival or something like that, and it was all about time and life and space and thinking and experiences, and it just kind of made me reflect on the lives that we have as Black people and what we have to do for our future, how we can learn from the past, what we have to do as a community in order to build, especially now that you've got holidays coming where they're waiting for your money. They're waiting for us to be led like sheep right into the economic slaughterhouse where they can get everything that we own, everything that we have. I see Damon's here and Lorraine and Devin and Angel. Good to see you. Good to see you. Here's what I want you to do real quick. Please share this post. Just hit the share button. Share it to your Facebook feed. I got to type in something real quick for the Periscope people. Also, do me a favor and go to drboycewatkins.net and download a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. That's my free gift to you. The book costs, I think the e-copy is of $10 or something like that, but it's free. You can go get it for free. Just go to drboycewatkins.net, and I hope you'll take the time over the holidays to read it with your family or read it by yourself, whatever you choose to do. So drboycewatkins.net, and please hit the share button real quick. 1 second. Okay. All right, now I'm good. Now I'm cooking with gas and grease and everything else. And it's funny, tomorrow I got the Black Wealth Boot Camp coming up, and so I really should probably be going to sleep. But I do the boot camps on Saturdays, and that's our wealth building class. We get thousands of students in the boot camp, and everybody loves it. It's better than any class you've ever taken in college, that's for sure. I designed it to be that way. I designed it specifically for Black people. I didn't design it for anybody else. I had no interest in building anything for anybody else. I wanted to build it for Black people, and people got mad about it. Some people thought it was unfair and wrong and racist, but I was like, whatever. Stacy said she loved our mannequin challenge. You know what? I got my family and I said, let's do a mannequin challenge. Let's do it. So I had to explain to half my relatives what a mannequin challenge was, and once I showed them what a mannequin challenge was, they all were cool with it. So we did it, and it was dope. It was a lot of fun. Somebody says we have to do more than talk. I agree. We have to do more than talking. I'm doing a lot more than talking. I mean, this year we created the All Black National Convention, where we came together in Atlanta. We pulled this off with no corporate sponsorship. Now, if you go to other events in the Black community, a lot of times you'll see brought to you by McDonald's, brought to you by Kmart, Walmart, whoever. We don't do that. We actually finance this with our own money. A lot of the proceeds from the Black Business School that people were buying classes and paying to read our books, things like that. We put that money back into creating the convention, which was awesome. It was absolutely amazing. And we're building. There are lots of other things we built. We built the blackcommercenetwork.com, which is a place where African Americans can come together and do business with each other, because I realize that that's what we need. We don't need another class. We don't need another speech. We don't need another rally. We don't need another march. We need commerce. We need markets. That's what we need. And I was a finance professor for 23 years. And I still am a finance professor. I just don't teach at a white university anymore. I teach at a black one. And what we need as a community is we need commerce. Commerce means black people coming together and engaging in trade. So at theblackcommercenetwork.com, if somebody please type this in, feel free. At theblackcommercenetwork.com, you can not only support black businesses by buying some of the products that are there, you can also go there and literally make money by becoming an affiliate of a black-owned business. So you can go in there and you can actually grab a link, and you could take that link, put it on your social media, and if people buy through that link to buy that product, you get a commission based on what you sell. So every single product that we have, pretty much, anything you hear me mention, if you hear about my book, like my book, The New Black Power, you can actually sell this book yourself and get a commission on it. If you read it and you like it, or if you think that other people should read it, you can actually push that to your social media. Just go to theblackcommercenetwork.com. Don't forget the THE, and you can sign up. So we're building things. We're creating so many things. We created the Black Business School, the Black Wealth Boot Camp, the Black Commerce Network, the All Black National Convention. We've made several movies. So we have Boyce Watkins films. So we're putting all this out for the community. We just released The Secrets of Black Financial Intelligence. We released earlier Resurrecting Black Wall Street. We're now working on a film called Escaping the Corporate Plantation. We're working on a film called Disintegration, which is all about integration and just how integration may or may not have helped black people. Escaping the Corporate Plantation is all about quitting your job. How to quit your job. Hearing from people who have found a way to get off the corporate plantation to build a better life for themselves. We also have a political film with myself and Yvette Carnell. You've seen where Yvette and I kind of disagree with each other. The film is called Democracy, a Black American Horror Story. And so basically it all talks about democracy and how democracy has and has not worked in the favor of black people. How we've sort of been saved by the same politicians who've been screwing us. And at the end of the day, we end up finding ourselves sort of feeling like hamsters in a cage, where we're running, and things are going backwards. We're not making much progress. And what's interesting is that I was thinking about this today, right? And I was thinking about Dr. Claude Anderson, who I need to call. I need to go check on him because I heard he got surgery. And we were supposed to do an event in D.C., and I'm hoping I can get him to do that event in 2017. I don't see why he wouldn't, because he actually suggested the idea. He's actually come in as a guest faculty member in the Black Business School. So is Tariq Nasheed, Damon Dash, of course. Talked about how he built Rockefeller Records. We have a lot of great people that come through. Anyway, I was thinking about Dr. Claude Anderson. I was reading his book. This book that everybody should read. It should be required reading. When you come to Boyce Church, when you come to school church that we have, you should read books like this. It's called Black Labor, White Wealth. Black Labor, White Wealth. It goes along. It's a companion book for Powernomics. Those are books that everybody should read. Now, of course, if you want to read my book, The New Black Power, you're certainly welcome to do that. I have other books. What If George Bush Were a Black Man? A Black American Money. The New Black Power 2 is going to come out in January. So you can read my books if you want. But before you read my books, I need you to read Dr. Claude Anderson's books, because he's the OG in all of this. He's the godfather. He's the grandfather. He's the forefather. He's the one who made people like me possible. He's the person that was one of the first on a national level to really talk about a joint plan for economic advancement within the African American community. He wasn't the only one, though. There's been others, right? But he was one of the first in our generation during an era where everybody wants to talk this civil rights stuff. Everybody wants to talk about the politics. They got you distracted by the politics. They got you thinking that voting for Hillary or Trump or somebody else is going to be the key to your liberation. And he actually breaks down in his book, Black Labor, White Wealth, why he wrote the book in the 90s. He wasn't writing about none of this stuff that's happened recently. But the thing is, it's just like history repeating itself. It's really the same bamboozlement on repeat, on speed repeat. It's literally the same thing replayed over and over and over again. I want to remind you before I jump in this, I want to actually look at an excerpt in this book because I want to talk about black leadership today. I want to talk about what sort of happened with leadership in our community, our civil rights organizations, why they are ineffective, why they are not getting us what we want, why they don't have the best interest of the black community at heart. Before I get into that, I want to remind you, over the holidays, you got to buy black. So make sure you think consciously about buying black. Talk to your relatives about buying black and building wealth. You have to do that. If you don't do that, then you're doing a disservice to your people. I want all of you to really, really meditate on the idea that says you have the ability to build a family empire. You have that ability to build a family empire. You don't have to do it all in one generation. You don't have to do it all by yourself. All you got to do is build your rocket ship and aim it high. That's it. Plant the seed, and create the conditions for growth. That's all you got to do. Most great empires, most great economic empires started off as almost nothing. Most great economic empires start off as things where the original creators really never could have envisioned it becoming what it became. When Henry Ford created Ford Motor Company back in 1909, he never really thought it would be a 4, 5, 10, 20, $50 billion company, whatever the company's worth. He never saw that, right? He just saw himself as a guy who didn't want to work for anybody, who wanted to build a car, right? So what I encourage you to do is to just realize that if you make very basic, very intelligent decisions when it comes to what you plan in your kids, what you do with your money, things like that, you can actually build a family empire. And I want you to really believe in that. I want you to believe that that's doable, because here's the thing. Once you know that that's possible for yourself, what it does is it kind of keeps you from worrying about the little stuff, right? You're not worried about the little stuff anymore because you're focused on the big stuff. Once I learned how to, do little basic things, like I realized, wait a minute, I don't have to actually go depend on my oppressor to pay my bills. Once I kind of realized things like that, it made it very easy for me to sort of focus on the things that actually mattered. I really didn't get offended as readily by what racist people said about me. It doesn't matter what they think about me. My conclusion is that in this world, everybody says racist stuff about everybody else. I hear black people say all kinds of stuff about white people. I mean, most of y'all have heard it. Like, oh, these damn crackers. Let me tell you what these white folks do. You acting white. These white people, blah, blah, blah. These white people at work. I mean, we all do that, right? And so the difference is only reason it bothers you more when someone else does it is because they have more power than you do. So what happens is we have different value systems. We see the world differently. And because they're your boss and they're controlling the environment, you feel oppressed by their opinions. But when you get out of their environment, you don't feel oppressed by their opinions anymore. When you learn how to find ways to make your own money or build businesses and all these other things and work with other people who look like you and think like you, you don't feel as oppressed by what so-and-so said. I really don't care. A white man could call me all kinds of names somewhere, but it doesn't bother me, because who says that my opinion of myself has to in any way be shaped by what my enemy thinks about me? I mean, can you imagine what insanity you're creating in your own mind when you allow your enemies to shape your self-perception? Like, that just makes my head hurt just thinking about that. Literally, I'm rubbing my head because I felt a sharp pain in my head when I even tried to fathom that idea. You can't do that. You can't think that way. Because the fact is that it's just like if you're playing in a football game or something. Believe me, if you start scoring touchdowns, the other players are going to call you a son of a bitch. The other coach is going to cheat to try to beat you. They're going to talk all kinds of crap about you. And if they know that they can get into your head, then they're going to do more of it, because they're going to say, oh, you're weak. You're weak-minded because you don't know who you are. You're looking for other people to tell you who you are. So guess what? I'm going to tell you that you're something that you don't want to be, so that you'll get so rattled and so upset that you're going to lose focus on what really matters. And you're going to start getting all caught up in the emotion of what I said about you, and he said this, and you can't be talking about me like that. That ain't even right. And you know what? The whole time I'm going to be robbing you blind. I'm going to be winning the game. I'm going to be walking away, hoisting up the trophy, because you were so caught up in your feelings that you couldn't get out here and fucking fight. Excuse my French. I didn't mean to cuss. I'm sorry. I apologize. That happens sometimes. But seriously, you have to be ready to fight. There's no battle on earth that's ever happened where one side was sensitive to what the other side thought about them. That doesn't make any sense. That's crazy. That really kind of says that your mojo to some extent gets zapped as a black person at a very early age. Your ability to compete gets zapped out of you because you're sitting and you're waiting for this society to decide that it wants to integrate you and accept you and love you and make you equal and all this other stuff. You spend so much time chasing equality that you don't actually understand the nature of competition. Like, what does that mean if I'm chasing equality? That's the most anti-competitive, most emasculating concept I can ever think of, because what it's basically saying is that I don't have the ability to win a race with you. I don't have the, like, you have the Russians and the Americans in the space race, competition. I don't have the ability to truly compete with you because I'm just busy trying to become equal to you one day. And that's literally the best that I can ever be, is equal to the person that's ahead of me. So that means that you'll never run faster than the person who's in front of you, because all you're trying to do is catch up and run next to him. No, he's not trying to run next to you. He's trying to run faster than you. He's not trying to be the same height as you. He's trying to be taller than you. That's the nature of competition, especially among men. Competitive men I know, they will never go into a football game and say, well, my goal is to be equal to the other team and score an equal number of points. That's my goal, right? And so even if you achieve what you perceive to be perfection, you're still never going to actually win anything. The best you're going to have is equality. The best you're going to have is a tie game. Why would you want that? I don't want equality. I want superiority. I want to dominate. I want to win. I want black people to win. I want every black child in America to be wearing a shirt that says winning hashtag on the shirt, because we are ahead scientifically. We are ahead educationally. We are ahead in terms of entrepreneurship. We are ahead in terms of mental toughness. We're ahead in every category that matters. And when people see us coming, they have a fear of us. When we're at our best, people fear us. And there are people out there like this. There are already templates out there. There are already black people who are pursuing excellence in everything they do. There are black people out here who are on top of their game in every way imaginable. We just got to find that model and clone it. That's it. We just got to clone it. Let's see here. So Yasmin says, I got to go to bed, Doc. I love you. I love you too, sister. Thank you very much for saying that. Let's see here. Portia says, a black face in a high place puts us to sleep. That's so true. Let's see. Africa says, that's so true. That's funny. I just said that's so true. She said the same thing I said. Equality is a total myth. Everyone is different and some better than others. Absolutely. I mean, I don't even know what equality really means. Like, what does that mean? Like, what does that really, what is that? Like, that doesn't even sound exciting. Like, we're not going to compete. We're just going to try to be equal. Whatever. Good luck with that. You go for that equality stuff. I'm going to go for what's real. By the way, our Black Wealth calendars are out. If you want to check out our Black Wealth calendar, we created a calendar for black people to talk about black wealth. Basically, they make great Christmas gifts. If you want to go buy a bunch of them, it's up to you, or one at least for your family. You can go to theblackwealthcalendar.com. That's theblackwealthcalendar.com. The calendar is really cool. It's actually got images of African Americans practicing wealth building habits. Every month has a theme. There's a theme. So there's budgeting and savings month. There's entrepreneurship month. There's credit repair month, etc. And also there are tips. There are financial tips for every month that I put in there. That was an addition to the calendar that we didn't, in terms of what we didn't have last year. Also, we actually created a course called My Black Wealth Year. That in that course, we go over the concepts in the calendar. So you can get the calendar by itself if you want, or you can get the calendar and the course. You can go to theblackwealthcalendar.com. That's theblackwealthcalendar.com. So make sure you go take a look and consider that, as you do your Black Friday shopping. I hope that you'll consider getting that calendar, because what it does is the reason I created these products, I created things like these and the financial flashcards for kids, is because I want us to shift the culture. What we got to do is shift the culture. We got to change these habits. We have a lot of habits that are totally counter to what it takes to actually build empires and build wealth. The habits that some of us have are totally contradictory to what it takes to really compete, what it takes to really build, what it takes to really have assets, what it takes to really get ahead. So what I thought about is I said, okay, a calendar would be dope, because a calendar is something that's in your face every day. It's something your kids see every day. It becomes part of the conversation on a daily basis. That's what wealthy people do. If you want to look at families that get ahead, they tend to talk about wealth and money and investing and everything else just sort of as part of their casual conversation. In fact, when my family just tonight, I went and I met with my family, and one of the things that me, my brother, my sister, and my sister-in-law do is we decided that we're going to start having Black wealth conversations together with each other, and once a week we're going to have meetings where we're going to get together and talk about each other's business. My sister's trying to leave the corporate plantation. My brother's wife just left the corporate plantation, and she and my brother have been traveling around the world, literally living in different cities. They don't even have a permanent place that they choose to live. They literally live in one city for a week, then they move to another city in a week, another city. They've been to about 20 or 30 cities in the past 2 or 3 months. So effectively, there are lots of possibilities you can get when you sort of are able to be economically flexible. That's another term. I should write that down. Economic flexibility. A lot of us don't have economic flexibility. All right. So, John Phelps said, we're headed back to the 1950s, bro. We need to bound up. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm sorry. I feel like our ancestors have overcome more. They've had more to deal with than Donald Trump. I think that, fear can't be our motivator. We can't just sort of work hard when we're scared. We can't just sort of decide to crack down when somebody's scared the hell out of us. I'm just not a fan of that. I think you should be motivated more so by desire than fear. I think that if you let fear be your only driving factor, or oppression to be the only thing that motivates you, that pretty much means that you only operate when you're under duress, and you only are able to make productive decisions when somebody's forcing you to do it. That's a slave mentality. A slave mentality to me is when you only work hard when you're forced into some sort of slavery, servitude, forced decision making, forced labor, whatever the case may be. In fact, I know a whole lot of black people like that who have that slave mentality. Where, think about it like this, break it down like this. If I go to a college campus and I grab a bunch of black students and I say, look, if y'all want to get ahead in this world, I want you to study at least 5 hours a day. That's all I want you to study, 5 hours a day. Because I mentor college students. We have a website called thecollegestudentguide.com where all I do is mentor college students. So if I say I need you to study 5 hours a day, a lot of those students would look at me like I was out of my damn mind. Wouldn't they? They would be like, oh my God, I can't study that much. That's too much. What, you too serious? I can't. How am I gonna get ready for the step show and the party if I'm studying that many hours a day? That's too much. But what's so weird to me, here's the thing. Now, I'm not blaming anybody who doesn't want to work that hard. That's fine. It's up to you to be lazy if you want to. Do whatever you want. But here's the thing. You have those same people who won't study 5 hours a day for their future, but they'll go work a job at McDonald's and will work 9-10 hours a day because that white man told them to get to work on time and told them to stay till 8 o'clock at night, right? They'll work 9 or 10 hours a day for minimum wage, but won't work 5 hours a day to build a future for themselves and their family. That's crazy. They'll work 9 or 10 hours a day when somebody's telling them what to do, but won't work 5 hours a day when they're their own boss. The reason that you work harder for him than you work for yourself is because when you're working for yourself, you don't respect your boss. Your boss is you, and you don't respect you because you think that because you don't have a label on you, like an IBM or a Facebook or or whatever these big companies are, Nike, because you don't have a label, that somehow what you're building doesn't matter. It's not worthy. It's not worth anything, right? And I think that should be reversed. I think that you should see everything that you're building as being the most worthy thing that you have. That's like somebody, really that mindset, that slave mentality mindset I just described is a lot like, it's a lot like taking more pride in babysitting other people's kids than you take in actually having your own children. You're like, I don't need to have no babies. I got Master So-and-so's babies, or Mr. Wilson's babies. I take care of his babies. I love those babies. And those are real babies. My babies ain't real because my babies don't exist, right? And you don't realize that the babies come from the same place. Babies come from sex, getting together, getting somebody pregnant, and next thing you know, a baby's born, right? But a business is the same way. Businesses are born because somebody, creates them, right? So when you want to go work for that other man's business, just understand that you are sustaining his creation. You're babysitting his economic children, but you won't give birth to any kids of your own. You don't spend your whole life only babysitting other people's economic children. That company is nothing more than a physical manifestation of somebody's imagination. When you go work at IBM and you take pride because I'm a vice president at IBM or Bank of America, just understand that everything that you think is real was at one point, it was part of somebody's imagination. It is as unreal as maybe as a ghost in your living room. It was as unreal as anything you can imagine. It's unreal as a figment of your imagination. It just became real because somebody put a label on it. They branded it. They pressed it into your brain and created a building all around it to represent that thing. And you thought it was real because of that. But the fact is, none of this is real. None of this was, there was a point where all of this was just someone's imagination. Somebody had to decide to build it. So in our community, here's the problem. Here's the thing. It's okay for some of us to go work for whoever we want. It's okay for some of us to go work for our oppressors. I'm not saying that I'm going to make fun of you if you work for black people. I'm not dissing nobody who does that. But here's the thing. You can't have everybody in the community trying to do that shit. Excuse my French. Everybody can't be an employee. Everybody cannot be an employee. So anybody who tells me, well, Dr. Boyce, everybody can't be an entrepreneur, fine. But everybody can't be an employee because you ain't building nothing. You ain't leaving nothing for your kids. You're not creating nothing. You're putting them in the same crap that you had to go through. Why would you do that to your children unless you hate them? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. So if you want to understand the diversity of humanity that's necessary for us to grow and develop as a people, we have to realize a couple of things. One, you can't have everybody working for white people. It just, all of us can't do it. There's not enough jobs, number one. They're not going to give us enough jobs. Number two, you're not building anything. The second thing you cannot have is you can't have every black man wanting to be feminine, wanting to be gay. You can have some people that are gay, some people that are feminine. You got a lot of little boys out here never knew what a father looked like. Maybe that's some of them ended up becoming feminized because of that. Fine, no problem with that. But you can't have every boy like that. Every young man cannot be a pussy. Every young man cannot be gay. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. That's how civilization ceased to exist. Look at ancient Rome. Ancient Rome started falling apart when all the men started having sex with other men before they were trying to sleep with the women. So at the end of the day, my point to you is, and this is not sort of any sort of conversation about sexuality or anything like that. It's really about nation building. It's really about saying, what does it take to ensure that in 50 years, Black America looks vastly different from what it looks like right now? Because right now we're not passing that smell test. We're just not. We're not building. You know, we have not built a country. The civil rights generation, God bless them for what they accomplished politically. But the unfortunate reality is that they did not build a 2016 that is all that much different from what we had in 1966. It ain't that much different. It's a little different in certain ways, but it ain't that much different in terms of economic opportunity. Unemployment rates are still the same. Wealth levels are actually dropping. Home ownership is dropping. All these things dropped under your first black president. You achieved you achieved every political gain you ever dreamed of. You saw Reverend Jesse Jackson, God bless him, love that man. You saw him shedding tears when Obama got elected. But what did that really do for the masses of black people? Not a whole lot. So I just encourage you to think bigger, to think broader, to think bolder, to create, to build. That's what you got to do. Let me tell you this. If you are interested in looking at, we have a lot of films that we've made, and we have this awesome deal that you may want to check out for Black Friday. I hope you'll check it out. Go to blackfridaybundle.com, blackfridaybundle.com. And at Black Friday Bundle, you can actually get a ton of films that we made, all for a really low price. I think that Shantae dropped the price. See, I work with people with names like Shantae, so you know I'm working with sisters and brothers and black people and stuff. If you go to, I think it's blackfridaybundle.com, you can actually get copies not just of our films, but you can get a copy of the film 7 a.m., which is a documentary about black businesses. These are great films to watch over the Christmas holidays, by the way. You can get a copy of the film, let's see, Generation 1 by Lamar and Ronnie Tyler, which shows you how to build wealth and to build family economic empires. You can get the Black Friday DVD. Black Friday is a very popular film. I'm actually in the film, and there's a lot of other people in the film. Let's see here. You can get, they got a second film, Black Friday, the Remix by Rick Mathis. You can also get a copy of the book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, and also a copy of a speech I gave, a lecture called How to Build Your Own Empire, not How to Build Your Own Black Empire and Not Bow to a White One. So that's me just kind of being mean and nasty, but I don't like bowing to people. I don't like seeing black folks having to bow. So if you're interested in the bundle for Black Friday, I hope you'll take a look. Go to blackfridaybundle.com. Okay. All right. So let me read something to you. I want to read an excerpt, and don't forget to share this. Share this feed, please. Hit the share button real quick if you don't mind, so other people can be a part of the conversation. Also, if you see a button that says follow, so you can be notified whenever we go live, please hit the follow button because I want us to be connected. I'm going to read some of this book. I got Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Black Labor, White Wealth. I've been meditating on this book because I think books like this are really important for us really to understand what we're dealing with and where we're trying to go. Now, let me read an excerpt on the book. It's in a section. It's on page 24, The Death of the Black Civil Rights Movement. Now, he says that in 1954, Brown versus Board of Education desegregation decision, blacks won a battle, but the decision had incalculable destructive effects on the black community. During the subsequent civil rights protest period, blacks stimulated a rush of new social movements by a melange of social groups, which piggybacked on black causes in their own quest for rights and freedom. This offended the larger society in general and gave conservatives grounds to orchestrate a backlash. Since blacks were the largest, most visible, and least acceptable group, they became the primary target of conservatives' angst. So what he's basically saying is that somebody says, what is your goal with this stream? My goal is to talk to you. My goal is to be honest with you. So Shay asked a question about what you should major in college if you want to start a business. Get online and start studying entrepreneurship. There's plenty of resources online. You ain't got to go take another class. Jump into the internet. There's so much information out here. And you can also start at the blackbusinessschool.com. You can actually join that for free and get started. And there's other classes you can take for a very low price. Or you may want to check out the blackwealthbootcamp.com. So anyway, so what he's basically saying in this chapter is that, we had the gain in the Brown versus Board of Education decision. But what's happened is that civil rights has just been watered down. That basically black people have been lumped in with everyone else. There's supposed to be a designation for descendants of slaves. Descendants of slaves have a unique experience in this world, in this country. We endured the worst kind of slavery known in all of human history. Even other kinds of slavery were not as bad as our slavery. For example, in other forms of slavery before the formation of the United States of America, even the slaves could testify in court. They had basic human rights. We had no human rights. We were seen as property. Another thing is that, the way that we were treated, in terms of all the women that were raped, all the black men that were castrated, the horrible things they put us through, we have a definite designation that is separate from everyone else. But yet what's happened is that once we had civil rights advances, everybody tried to latch on to what black people had. Everybody wanted to sort of connect. They wanted to sort of lump everybody together who wasn't white. Everybody who isn't white somehow, even when I was talking to a Jewish man on the plane, it was real interesting. I liked the guy, and we had a good conversation, but he starts talking about discrimination as a Jew and compares it to my discrimination. He's like, well, I was discriminated against. I'm like, yeah, but you got a government that has a whole bunch of policies that are in favor of your home country. They love Israel. They always stand by Israel. They always stand by helping the Jewish community on some level. So let's not pretend like our experiences are the same. They're not the same. If you had all the thousands of years of Jewish history and culture ripped away from you, you wouldn't be the person that you are right now. You are a Jew because you have thousands of years of culture to piggyback on that was never stolen from you, even through the Holocaust. We don't have that. We don't even know who in the hell we are because all that was taken from us. So let's stop the comparison right now. I can empathize with what you went through. I can empathize with that. Also, I learned from the Jewish community. I pay attention. I asked him, I said, so what was your, when you because he started off poor, he became a millionaire. And I asked him, I said, so what were your values in the household in terms of education? He said, education was the most important thing in the world to us. We just, we had our kids studying all the time. It was the most important thing ever. That's why my son went to Harvard and Yale. I said, so what were your values in terms of money? He said, money's not to be wasted. He said, my son has a lot of money, but if you ask him how he's doing economically, he'll say, I'm poor. Because he doesn't want you to know how much money he's got. He's not going to go around bragging and balling and flossing and all this other stuff. He wants to build his wealth. So we talked about some of that. Also, we talked about education. He said, well, when I grew up, every kid I knew went to Hebrew school because we felt it was very important that if we want our kids to have our values, that we educate our own children. And so for black people, we need our own version of Hebrew school. And I propose, and people can find whatever example they want or whatever kind of school they want to send their children to. But I think that some sort of economic dimension of this schooling should be very, very important. In fact, I think in your household, a rites of passage for your black child has to be something that links to, it has to link back to knowing how to start a business, knowing how money works, understanding cooperative economics, all these things. And in fact, that's why we created Project 100,000, which is our goal in the next decade to get 100,000 black children into some sort of wealth building entrepreneurship program. That's really, really important. We believe that's one of the keys in terms of long-term planning for the black community. This is a 50-year, 60-year plan. In 50 years, African Americans, if we fulfill this destiny, and we're going to fulfill it. We're already at about 3,500 kids. We got a decade, so we're going to get to 100,000. I'm going to make sure it happens. If we fulfill this plan, then in 50 years, you're going to see black people moving ahead of everyone else in terms of planning, in terms of operation, in terms of how we get things done. Our kids are going to take what we teach them, and they're going to take it to the next level. So if you're looking to add your child to the 100,000, we don't need every child. We can't get every child. We're not looking to get every child. We just need about 50 to 100,000, preferably 100,000. So if you want your child to be part of the 100,000, feel free to sign up for one of our programs if you like. You can put them in a different program too if you want to. That's fine. But we have one program that's really popular at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. So feel free to check that out if you want your child to be in that class. And I designed this material for our kids. All right, so moving on. Let's see here. So he says the movement was drowned out by new groups and outflanked by the conservatives. In the heat of various civil rights battles for control over jobs, schools, housing, community services, businesses, and tax dollars, black leadership ran out of insight, social tools, and strategies for effectively dealing with the more subtle and less direct forms of racism that cropped up. As the other groups began to take away from blacks' control of the civil rights agenda, conservative political forces started using their government and media power to diminish the black component of the civil rights movement. So basically what he's saying is that, and I'm reading, for those who just chimed in, I'm reading from Black Labor, White Wealth, the book from Dr. Claude Anderson. And so what he's effectively saying here is he's saying that that basically civil rights leaders were not prepared to deal with this backlash, this new form of racism. They didn't understand it. They didn't know how to fight against it. Also, they didn't understand that at that time, the goal was to sort of say, okay, we got civil rights in this country. Let's reduce the role of black people in civil rights. Let's make blackness the last thing that you talk about. And somebody asked me earlier, what do you think about Van Jones? I like Van Jones a lot. I really, really do. I think Van Jones does very important work. But one thing you'll notice about Van, as well as many other commentators that you see in mainstream media, is that blackness is usually like one of the last things they mention. They're only allowed to really talk about blackness by proxy. Periodically, they can talk about like black men being shot by the police. That's where they're allowed to really talk about blackness. But they're not really allowed to talk about, the wealth gap in a meaningful way. They're not allowed to talk about empowerment strategies for black people. They go beyond sort of leaning toward the liberals and the Democrats to save us. Their job is really to be what Yvette Carnell calls Negro whisperers, in the sense that they tell white people what black people need. They tell white people how black people are suffering, and the hope and the expectation is that their Democratic friends will come along and save them, which I'm not a big believer in that. I don't believe the Democrats are ever going to save us from anything. I am not a fan. I do not believe it. I do not care. I do not want to hear them. I do not want them calling me. I don't want to be on their agenda. I don't want to be on their docket. I don't want them to be on their radar. I don't want them talking about me at all. I am not a bridge builder. I'm not the person who goes across the other side of town to get other people to understand our plight, because I ain't begging you for nothing. I am a mobilizer. I talk to other like-minded black folks. I talk to the real soldiers in the community, people who are ready for the fight, people who don't have time to feel sorry for themselves, people who are more about action than just talk, and more about logic than about feeling some emotional way about the way white folks feel of them, people who know who the hell they are. And I say, look, let's get together, let's build an army, and let's go get this shit. Let's make this happen. Let's build this. We can do this. We have everything that we need. And I don't want to go down the list of all the countries on this earth where we have more spending power in our community than the GDPs of all these countries. I read the list yesterday. I went down a list yesterday of all the countries on this earth. It's about 80% of the countries on this planet where we have more spending power than the GDP, gross domestic product, of all these countries. I'm talking about countries like Egypt and Switzerland. What else? Nigeria and Venezuela and Iran and Mexico. We have more spending power in our communities than the gross domestic products of these major countries. So don't talk about black people like we are a charity case. Don't talk about us like we are a pack of welfare recipients. Don't talk about us like we don't have the ability to drive our own political car, that we just got to get on somebody else's bus. No, we are, in fact, even politically, The reason they come and beg up for your vote, and the reason they try to grab you, is because you're a voting bloc. You tend to vote together. And so you're the ones who swing these elections. You're the ones who swing these elections. So my argument is, if they want something from you, they better come kissing your ass. If they're not ready to kiss your ass, then you need to tell them you better tell them to kiss your ass. Okay. And so my point on that is to say that we have power. We have real power. And my belief is in building that power. I'm just not really, I don't really believe, I let go. I worked very, very hard overtime to get rid of my white savior complex and my white superiority complex. So when people say to me, well, you know, Boyce, you can make a lot more money if you got white people to buy your stuff, or you got white people to come to your school. Why would you put the word black in your stuff? I say, because I'm proud of being black. I like being black in public. I like everybody knowing I'm black. And I say the word black to keep my self-discipline so I don't get tempted to go run off and get, stuff from other people. I want to build something right here at home. I want it to be black. Why can't we have our own stuff? Everybody else got their own stuff. Why can't we have our own stuff too? So that's it. That's my thinking. So anyway, let me keep reading down this book before I start getting too carried away. All right. Okay. Sorry. I need to calm myself down, because y'all see me getting, and it's too late to be getting all riled up like that, right? All right, so here's a part where I want you to really focus and concentrate on this section. I'm going to read this section from Dr. Anderson's book, Black Labor, White Wealth, Claude Anderson. The Black Civil Rights Movement, though spectacularly successful in many respects, had at least 4 major flaws that diminished the accomplishments of the movement and left critical imperatives for Black America. Number 1, the movement's black leadership focused its entire weight of resources on achieving integration. They believed, perhaps naively, that by removing all the symbols of Jim Crowism and acquiring access to various segments of white society, black people would gain equality. Now, remember I was telling you earlier about equality and how equality ain't nothing to aim for? What the hell does that mean? What is that? What, a colorblind society? Remember that people used to talk about America being post-racial after Obama got elected, and they talked about that for like 6 months until white folks let y'all know, put y'all back in your place and let you know who was still in charge. I'm gonna tell you, it's, I love what he says here about focusing all of your weight on integration. And now what we have is we have kind of different factions of black people. We have black folks that are what I call Negro assimilationists. They're just hoping and begging for an opportunity to assimilate successfully into the rest of America. They're like, you know what, man, forget our culture, forget what all the things that make us unique. We just want to be down. We just want y'all to like us. We want you to hook us up, bring us in, because we can't build anything on our own. We can't do anything by ourselves. So we need you to bring us in to what you got. We need help. Come protect us. So a lot of people were very upset when Hillary lost the election, because they were like, shit, Hillary was my only chance at assimilation. So there are a lot of black people in the elite. Now, people like me who are hunkered down, who've closed ranks, who are working with other black folks, Donald Trump ain't really messing with my life like that. I got a gang of black people around me that love me, and I love them, and we have each other's back. Trump can't really come at us. If he comes at us, he's going to come at us with respect, and we're going to negotiate deals with him. There won't be no like, oh, Negro, I'm going to get you fired off of CNN, or no, Negro, I'm going to get you, we're going to take away your government grant, or no, Negro, we're going to cut off your welfare check, or no, Negro, we're going to cut off this corporate job that we gave y'all. Now, I'm not dissing people that have all those things, but I'm going to tell you there's a reason why I rejected those things when I built my business, because I said I don't want to be beholden to people like that. I don't want to be beholden to politicians. So this whole idea of sort of assimilation as the key to black progress is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. It does not mean, though, that you don't have some sort of cooperation, that you don't have some sort of trade. It does not mean that you don't have interaction. You do have interaction. But understand there's a difference between me assimilating to you, where you're reshaping the DNA of who I am as a person so I can fit into your warped society. There's a difference between me doing that versus me saying, okay, you over there, I'm over here. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Let's do trade. Let's do some business. You respect what's yours over there. I'm going to respect what's mine over here. No, I ain't got to move in your house. I ain't got to live with you. I got my own crib. We good. We good. Thank you. That's why Malcolm X was able to sit down with white supremacists, because they had an understanding. It was like, you got you and yours over there. I got me and mine over here. we're good. They respected him. They were like, okay, we like this guy because he's not trying to make us into his friend because we don't like him. He doesn't like us. But that's how things kind of happen in the world of men, to be honest with you. In the world of competition, which that's pretty much what the world is. Integration seems like a weird idea for the rest of the world. Like America's not trying to integrate with China. They trade with China. They negotiate with China. They make agreements with China. But they ain't trying to integrate with China. I mean, when you're trying to integrate with somebody and be sort of in their space, that really is a sign of weakness, honestly. That really is sort of your way of saying, I have nowhere to go. I have nothing to do. I have nothing I own. So the only thing I can do is to be connected to what you've got. That doesn't work. It doesn't work in America because America is built on racism. Number 2, he says, this is the other failing of the civil rights movement. Black leaders failed to focus on neutralizing the forces behind Jim Crowism or developing effective strategies for Black America to use in dealing with the problems that sprang forth from the maldistribution and racist control of wealth, power, and resources in America. Let me say it again. Black leaders failed to focus on neutralizing the forces behind Jim Crowism or developing effective strategies for Black America to use in dealing with the problems that spring forth from the maldistribution and racist control of wealth, power, and resources in America. So they were talking all day about, integration. We need y'all to like us. We need to change your hearts and minds. He called me a nigger, and weren't really talking about the real conversation. The real conversation is, why do y'all have X trillions of dollars in wealth and we got like this much and we deserve so much more because this country's wealth was built on our backs. We built all of this. We did all of this. So if you want to be my friend, if you really want to have a conversation with me that where I'm really going to want to sit down with you, you need to start that conversation by telling me in an honest fashion what you're going to do to make things right. If you can't tell me how you're going to make things right, then I don't really want to hear what you got to say. Don't tell me you want to be my friend after you just got through taking all my shit. Are you serious right now? Are you kidding me right now? You got my shit in your pocket and you want to come over here and be friends with me. No, don't. I'm not coming to your King Day dinner. No, you're not invited to mine. No. I don't want to hold your hand and sing We Shall Overcome and act like that's actual real racial healing in America. That's not racial healing. Real racial healing is painful. Real racial healing means the redistribution of resources. And if you're not willing to do that, then that's fine. We can fight it out, but don't expect me to be your friend. I'm not going to be your friend. So the same way you got people that are unfriending people on Facebook because they voted for Donald Trump. No, whatever. Don't do that. No, unfriend people because they don't support African Americans' right to reparations. Unfriend them because they support a white supremacist power structure that keeps you oppressed. You'll unfriend them because they're also part of this very system and they believe in this very system that is keeping you from having the things that you deserve. So to me, I'm not necessarily going to be up in arms all the time. I'm going to rebuild. We're building stuff on our own, but I'm not going to act like history did not happen. Next, third thing he says here in terms of the failure of Black civil rights leaders after the civil rights movement. They failed to develop a long-term national plan with goals and strategies spelling out where Blacks ought to be going and how best to get there. They failed to develop a national or long-term national plan with goals and strategies. That's something that I'm trying to help work on now. I'm not the person who knows all the answers, but we have Project 100,000, where our goal is to get 100,000 Black children through some wealth building program and have them to learn entrepreneurship by the age of 12. Because if we have 100,000 Black entrepreneurs in our community, we will have builders. We will have children who won't grow up where their first option is to look for a job. Their first option will be to get with their other Black friends and build a strong Black company that's going to help the Black community. You'll be amazed at what difference that will make. The other thing that I'm teaching parents is what I call the kid model of wealth building, how to build a millionaire. You see, people think that poverty they think it's an incurable disease, and that's just not true. Poverty actually is something you can fix in America because you have resources to work with. And basically, I break it down into a model. The model is KID, knowledge, investment, discipline. So look, if you give your child financial knowledge, if you invest at least $100 worth of stock for that child every month from the time they're born or when the time they're little, and you give them discipline, the ability to delay gratification, that child will probably be a millionaire. At the very least, they won't be an economic victim. They won't be running around with the inability to barely move or do anything because they can't raise another $2,000 in order to start a business. Or they can't miss out on building a $1 billion company because they need to raise $1,200 to pay the rent. So they got to go take some job in order to get money. That's the problem we have. You can't do big stuff because you're focused on little stuff. You can't get the big shit done because you're inundated with the little shit. The little shit like cousin Pookie borrowed $300 from me. He owes me that money. I need that money. Why are you fighting somebody over $300? If you're an entrepreneur, you would be in a position where you're fighting people over $30,000. That's what matters. And so the fact is that when you start, here's the thing. Let me tell you about America. Let me tell you about the future of America right now. I'm going to tell you this right now. And this is something I've thought about this and I've known this for a while, and I was trying to figure out the right way to explain it. I explained it to the students in the Black Wealth Boot Camp too. Here's the deal. Here's the deal with America. America is becoming a country that is more and more deeply committed to extreme inequality, not just racial, just between the rich and the poor. The gap between the rich and the poor is going to grow. It's not going to shrink. It's not going down. Why? Well, because the very people who have the power to change that, the politicians, are owned by the same capitalist pigs who want to create this inequality. So the reason that most workers in this country can't pay the rent, can't keep up with the bills, I got so many friends. I can't tell you how many friends I know who are this close to being evicted or who have been evicted or who are facing foreclosure. I'm talking about the list is through the roof. It's insane. It's only going to get worse. It exists because wages have not gone up, but the cost of living has continued to increase. So what I try to tell people is that you got to understand, you got to explain to your children, this economy is rigged. It is rigged. It is rigged in favor of people who own stock, people who own property, and people who start businesses. So for your child, we have a video on the Black Business School that says how to buy your first share of stock in 5 minutes or less, 10 minutes or less, something like that. I literally show people on a screen share how to go and buy stock. You don't have to be an expert to pick stocks. There's the study that shows that monkeys literally can pick stocks and build wealth. So if you're smarter than a monkey, which everybody on here is, you can actually build wealth in the stock market just by randomly picking stocks. And I'm not joking. I'm an expert on the stock market. My dissertation was on the stock market. Okay. So basically, if you also with entrepreneurship, it doesn't cost anything to teach your child how to run a business. The only thing it costs is time and desire. I mean, you have to decide, okay, which is more important, teaching my child how to build their economic future or watching Basketball Wives? Or talking to my family about building a business or doing the damn electric slide. Like, which is more important? Which are you going to do first? Because we're going to do the second thing. We're always going to do that. We're going to watch the ratchet shows. We're going to do the electric slide. We're going to do all this other silly stuff, which is fine. It is what it is. I'm not judging. But you got to handle first things first, because these are keys to your survival. Let me mention this. If you are interested in buying some of our films for Black Friday, we actually have a really cool special with Your Black World. It's at blackfridaybundle.com. If you go to blackfridaybundle.com, you can actually buy a copy of the film 7 a.m. by Jason Black, the film the film Generation 1 by Lamar Tyler, which talks about building generational wealth. The film Black Friday by Rick Mathis, which is really popular. And this was like a whole collection of films you can buy, and they take like 60% off the price. So you can check that out at blackfridaybundle.com. That's blackfridaybundle.com. Also, make sure that you share this. And please subscribe. And if you haven't picked up a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can get that at drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. And if you just want to know about a lot of my programs and a lot of the educational things we have in place, feel free to go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. The URL should be right there at the top of the feed if you're on Facebook. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. So stop through there, and we have something for everybody, young, old, beginners, investors, whatever you are. We have all kinds of stuff for you. All right, so let me read the fourth thing. I'm reading from the book Black Labor, White Wealth, and then pretty soon I got to go to bed because I got to teach the Black Wealth Boot Camp tomorrow, and I'm actually losing my voice. So this is not. Now somebody says, how do you feel about the average white guy watching you for advice? I don't have any problem with that at all. I don't mind white people watching, as long as you just understand I created this for my people. That's black people are first, but it doesn't mean you can't be here. It doesn't mean I hate you. It just means I love black people. It's really racism that taught you that black love means white hatred, and I reject that notion entirely. All right, so here's the last thing. He says that the fourth thing black leaders have failed to do after the civil rights movement is, in addition, black leaders failed to construct a national network of institutions to train new generations of blacks who could successfully assume leadership positions and implement a national plan for black empowerment. So basically, he's saying that we failed to develop institutions that are going to build leaders for the next generation. Let me tell you why that's important. When I went to France, France is a beautiful, Paris is a beautiful city. It was so pretty. I saw this military school that they built in the 15th century. And in this gigantic military school, it was huge. It took up an entire city block. They have trained thousands and thousands of soldiers where their sole purpose was to defend the country of France. That's it. That was why they created this whole military academy. Napoleon went to school there. To this day, soldiers go to school there. And what I'm going to tell you is that one of the key things, one of the key factors to winning a battle is you have to build an army. You have to be able to build your army. Doesn't mean you have to go out and get weapons and go kill people. I'm not saying that. But we need an army of black young people who want to build. So one of the things, again, one of my national plans for empowerment of black America is Project 100,000, where we want to get 100,000 black youth who are trained on the fundamentals of wealth building, entrepreneurship, cooperative economics, etc., so that in the next generation, that first 100,000 will employ the next 50 million. That's what's important. So if anybody wants to know what book I'm reading from, it's Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. Everybody should own this book. Everybody needs to buy this book. It's one of the greatest books ever written in the history of this country. Dr. Claude Anderson actually was a guest lecturer in the Black Business School. I'm gonna try to get him to come back so we can actually do. I want to get him to teach a class with me. He and I agreed to do it, but his wife, I gotta convince his wife. She's very protective of the work that he's into. Also, my book, if you're interested, is called The New Black Power, and that's when I kind of espouse on some of my theories. So you can check that out at thenewblackpower.com. Okay, so I'm going to take off and get out of here. Don't forget, if you want to check out our programs, go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. If you want to check out our new film, The Secrets of Black Financial Intelligence, you can go to blackfinancialintelligence.com. That's blackfinancialintelligence.com. And if you want to get all those films in the Black Friday bundle, you can go to blackfridaybundle.com. That's blackfridaybundle.com. All right, I'm out of here, guys. I'm going to bed. Got to get ready for the boot camp in the morning. Thanks for hanging out with me in the middle of the night. This was on my heart. I had to share it with you. So I appreciate the fact that I've got a cool group of black people who get it, who understand me, and all that good stuff. So take care, everybody. I will talk to you soon.